The 33rd degree knowledge appears only when your reality begins to fracture. In this moment of bending, the hidden book finds you, not by chance, but by destiny. Sacred Introduction. If this book has found you, it is not by chance. There are no accidents at the level of the soul. There are only convergences, moments when the invisible threads of destiny weave themselves so tightly that they can no longer be ignored. You arrived here because a hidden gravity pulled you, because somewhere in the silent chambers of your being you whispered for an answer, and the answer has taken the form of a book. You have suffered. You have bent under the weight of expectations that were not yours. You have walked corridors that echoed with the voices of others, while your own voice trembled in secrecy. You have wondered whether life was scripted in a hand you never chose. And still, despite the ache, despite the nights when silence seemed to abandon you, your soul has not given up on you. It never does. It waits, patient as an ancient star, until the moment when your reality begins to bend. This is such a moment. Imagine it now. Reality is not rigid stone, but liquid glass. It bends, it reshapes, it trembles. In the presence of deeper recognition, what you called coincidence begins to arrange itself into patterns, symbols, recurring echoes, a number that returns, a dream that insists, a silence that speaks louder than words. The surface of your days is shifting because something underneath has begun to stir. You have touched the threshold where outer events bow before inner revelation. The ancient teachings, those whispered in temples, carried by mystics, guarded in secret libraries, all converge on this truth. Reality bends when the inner myth awakens. You are not merely a personality, not only a story of wounds and triumphs. You are a text, a living scripture, written in layers. Some pages are visible, childhood, choices, names. Others are hidden in the unconscious, wrapped in shadows, disguised as shame. When one of those hidden sentences is revealed, the world outside begins to rearrange itself, as if life were waiting for you to remember who authored it. You may doubt this, you may feel unworthy of such language, and yet, have you not already sensed the bending? Have you not seen how one memory reappears at the threshold of change? Have you not wondered why strangers sometimes speak the very word you needed, or why time itself seems to slow when you face a decision that could alter everything? These are not illusions. They are portals. They are the bending of reality in service of your deeper story. In this journey, you will walk through attics of forgotten books, mirrors that reveal shadows, maps that point to secret mountains, ceremonies that undo what you once clung to, and libraries where signs whisper their grammar into your hands. Each chapter is a threshold, each tale an archetypal echo of your own path, each ritual a seed you plant in the soil of your becoming. This is not merely listening. This is initiation. And as you listen, you will notice something subtle. The text will not simply describe. It will address you directly. It will speak to the wound beneath your words, to the questions you dared not name aloud. Because this is your book, it is not merely about characters and symbols. It is about you. You are the attic. You are the mirror. You are the map, the mountain, the flame. The book will reveal itself only to the degree that you allow yourself to recognize your reflection in its pages. So, enter slowly, breathe deeply, let the language become a ritual. Each sentence is not merely information, it is a door. Some doors will open gently, others will require your courage, but behind each door is a fragment of the truth you have always carried. This is the 33rd degree knowledge, not the prestige of outer hierarchies, but the secret grammar of the soul, how reality bends when the hidden myth surfaces. Repeat silently now as a seal before the journey. I am ready to remember. I am ready to bend with reality. I am ready to read the book of my own soul. And as you whisper, feel the pages begin to turn. This is your beginning. This is your return. Chapter 1. The page that waited in the attic. There is an attic in every life, Its walls breathe with forgotten dust, and its windows ache with silence. Dust motes drift like faint constellations, each one a memory suspended in the half-light. In this place waits a single leather-bound volume, bound with a velvet ribbon that no hand recalls tying. It is not yours, and yet it belongs to you. An heirloom of dream or blood, of ancestor or archetype. It waits with patience that feels eternal. One evening, as you walk through the hollow corridors of your house, you hear the creak of a floorboard calling your name. You feel it more than hear it, a resonance, as though the house itself remembers you differently. You climb the narrow steps and the air thickens, as if each breath presses you closer to something inevitable. When you reach the attic, the ribbon has loosened on its own. The book breathes, and the silence bends around it. You pick it up, and a draft runs through the rafters, rearranging the room. For a moment, the walls seem to flex, as though they are no longer stone or wood, but memory itself, bending to the fact that you are here. In that moment you feel both dread and recognition, both terror and a hungry longing that makes your hands tremble. The ache is not only in your chest, but in your very sense of self, as though you are standing in a story that has been written by another hand. And yet you cannot look away. This is the pain of not recognizing your own story. It is the quiet shame of realizing you have lived according to a script you never authored, obeying lines whispered by others, inhabiting roles you never auditioned for. There is loneliness in this recognition, as if the world has been reciting a tale and you have only been a minor character. And still, something deeper stirs, a remembrance that the story could be rewritten if only you dared to open the book. Reality bends first at the level of narrative. The psyche is a loom, weaving thread into meaning, and when a hidden narrative is revealed, the tapestry changes. What you once named coincidence is in truth the fabric shifting to align with your deeper myth. Every repetition, every echo, every uncanny alignment, these are the footnotes of the soul reminding you that story is more than metaphor. Story is grammar, and grammar precedes creation. To find the sentence hidden in your attic is to awaken the power that rearranges circumstance itself. What you have buried in shame is not an obstacle to your destiny. It is the key. The forgotten pages, the sentences you wish to erase, the chapters you tried to burn, they carry the power to rewrite the whole narrative. It is in the place you least wish to look that the hinge of your reality lies waiting. And when you dare to read aloud what you once hid, the world itself bends to your voice, adjusting its grammar, rearranging its margins, until reality obeys the truth you have claimed. The book waits, not to condemn, but to reveal. It does not ask for perfection, it asks for recognition. For every line you deny, a shadow grows, but every line you read with dignity turns shadow into language, silence into voice, absence into return. And so the attic is not punishment, it is initiation. The book does not accuse you, it invites you. And the invitation is simple. Open the pages, name what you find, and watch the walls of your life adjust. Now let us enter the ritual. Sit quietly with the image of this attic in your mind. Close your eyes and feel its air, its dimness, the quiet tension of its silence. Place your breath upon it. Inhale for a count of 4, hold gently for 2, and release slowly for 6. Repeat this cycle 3 times, letting the rhythm soften your edges. With each breath, you are there, you are present, you are standing before the leather-bound book. Visualize yourself lifting the book, feeling its weight. Let one memory rise, a memory wrapped in shame, one you have long refused to name. Do not elaborate. Speak it in one simple sentence, softly, aloud. The attic hears you. The book records your courage. Now, with the next exhale, imagine yourself ripping that sentence from the book. See it burn in a bowl of intention before you, smoke rising like scripture written in air. Watch the smoke curl and form new lines. Whisper 3 times, I will read my own story. Take a piece of paper and write, with your own hand, the first new sentence you wish to live. Do not worry if it feels awkward. Every scripture begins in fragments. This is your first line, and reality bends to it already. Hold the paper as a seal. It is the first word of your return. As you close this moment, carry with you a decree, a sentence to guard the threshold. Let the attic breathe. Let the book choose to be read. This sentence is your amulet. Keep it close, repeat it when silence feels heavy, and let it remind you that the attic of your soul is no longer locked. The page has been touched, the ribbon undone, the book awakened. And as you descend from the attic, the walls of your life breathe with you, preparing for the next revelation that waits to be seen. Chapter 2. The Mirror That Didn't Lie But Hid. You wander into a market at midnight. Lanterns flicker as if the night itself has gathered to sell its secrets. Among the stalls of incense, trinkets, and forgotten relics, a vendor gestures toward an object wrapped in linen. You unfold the cloth and discover a mirror, old yet unbroken, its silver gleam trembling with a life of its own. At first you see your reflection, the familiar contours of your face. But as you look closer, the glass deepens, and behind your features a procession of masks emerges. The obedient child, the diligent worker, the flawless lover, the one who smiles though weary. Your breath quickens. Each mask is recognizable, each one a role you have worn so long it has fused with your skin. You touch the mirror, and the glass shivers, but it does not reveal your essence. Instead, it offers the first shadow you ever disowned, a memory of anger you suppressed, a hunger you denied, a grief you silenced. The mirror does not judge, it catalogs, and you realize that you have lived not only with masks, but with an invisible ledger of shadows, fragments, banished, yet always near. This is the loneliness of carrying faces not your own, the exhaustion of performing for acceptance, the silent terror that if you laid down the mask, those you love would recoil. Perhaps you feared rejection. Perhaps you feared exposure. Perhaps you simply feared the vastness of being seen. But in wearing so many faces, you misplaced your own. And somewhere within, the question lingers. If all the masks fall away, will there be anyone left at all? Here lies the teaching. Persona and shadow are twin architects. The persona keeps you alive within the social web, but it fragments the soul. The shadow, far from being an enemy, is an uncollected part, exiled yet faithful, waiting to be remembered with dignity. To disown it is to live half a life. To integrate it is to regain wholeness. The mirror teaches this paradox. You do not heal by destroying the shadow, but by welcoming it back as part of your counsel. Integration does not erase darkness. It sanctifies it as a bearer of energy once denied. When you recognize a shadow, reality itself shifts. The people who echoed that shadow, the circumstances that mirrored it back, begin to transform, as though the world had been conspiring to help you face what you avoided. By acknowledging the exiled part, you loosen the threads of repetition. What once trapped you in cycles of fear or shame now opens into possibility. The mirror is not merely glass. It is an alchemical vessel, revealing how outer relationships are woven by inner exiles and how wholeness reorders the reflection. The unexpected revelation is this. Every shadow you greet ceremonially reshapes the fabric of your reality. The moment you look at your anger, your need, your hunger with reverence instead of shame, the mirror stops distorting. It no longer multiplies masks. It shows a center, not flawless, but whole. And wholeness carries a magnetic power. The world bends toward one who is undivided. Now enter the ritual. Place a mirror before you, or if not, a polished bowl of water that reflects dimly. Sit in low light, so the edges of your reflection blur. Let your breath slow. Inhale gently, exhale deeper, until the boundaries between you and the reflection soften. Look into the mirror and name, aloud, one shadow. I see my, and speak the word. Rage, greed, grief, envy, hunger, whatever rises first. Do not decorate it. One word is enough. Feel your chest. Place your palm upon the place that reacts, the muscle that tightens, the spot that resists. Breathe 6 slow breaths into that place. As you inhale, whisper silently, I receive you. As you exhale, feel the shadow soften into your presence. Do not try to fix, simply receive. Now offer a gift. It may be a small stone, a piece of paper with a single line written, "You were brave," or a small object you choose with intention. Place it before the mirror as an offering. Keep it there for 3 days, as a reminder that your shadow has a seat at the table of your becoming. Seal the ritual with a decree. Beloved shadow, step into the candlelight. Repeat it once more, as though inviting a long-exiled guest into your home. Let the words linger in the room. The mirror has spoken. The masks tremble. The shadow has been seen. And as you turn away, the reflection does not vanish. It walks with you, subtly changing the way reality bends around your presence. Chapter 3. The Map with the Wrong Compass. A traveler once found a map in the hollow of an old oak. The parchment was delicate, its ink faded but legible, its lines precise, and roads accurately drawn. Yet there was something wrong. The compass rose did not point to the north he knew. Its needle hummed with a faint vibration, pulling toward a mountain that no chart had recorded, a place whispered in his dreams, but never marked in geography. Those who dared to follow it discovered the mountain was not stone, but memory, a repository of lost vows, a summit where forgotten promises waited to be remembered. The traveler realized with unease that every map he had trusted before had been guided not by the soul's north, but by the magnetic pull of fear, duty, and ancestral expectation. He had walked faithfully, yet always felt misaligned, as though each step carried a subtle betrayal. His heart longed for a different direction, yet his feet followed inherited routes. The mountain before him demanded a choice: obey the inherited compass or risk the unknown pulse of a deeper north. This is the pain of disorientation, the panic of living out of alignment. Perhaps you, too, have followed the compasses of culture, the pursuit of prestige, the security of approval, the comfort of conformity. You obeyed because you were told safety lay there, or because you did not know another way. Yet beneath it all your soul whispered, pointing elsewhere. And each time you silenced it, a quiet grief grew. For to betray the inner compass is to fracture the ground beneath your own feet. Here is the hidden teaching. The psyche holds 2 kinds of maps. One is collective, external compasses shaped by society, family, and time. They promise order, but demand conformity. The other is archetypal, a compass inscribed within you, a rhythm that does not point to a fixed star, but shifts with seasons of the soul. To live by this compass requires a subtle listening, the tremor of the body when a choice is wrong, the dream that repeats itself, the image that will not leave you. The 33rd degree threshold begins here, when you decide that the inner compass can no longer be ignored. The revelation is that your compass is not static. It does not always point north. It may lead east toward beginnings, west toward endings, south toward descent, north toward emergence. To mistake a seasonal direction for eternal truth is to grow rigid, to worship the map instead of the living rhythm. The 33rd degree knowledge teaches fidelity to the rhythm itself, to follow the shifting song, to let the compass reorient as your soul ripens. In this fidelity, reality bends, not as chaos but as choreography, aligning circumstance with the rhythm of your becoming. And so, the traveler understood. The mountain was not the goal, but a reminder. It reminded him that vows once lost could be reclaimed, that alignment is not a straight path, but a living spiral. He folded the map, no longer afraid of its shifting compass. He realized he was not meant to find a destination, but to learn how to follow the hum. Now you enter the ritual. Lie down, placing one hand on your belly and the other on your heart. Breathe deeply into your belly until you feel movement beneath your palm, as if your body itself were a needle searching for direction. Let your breath become the drum that steadies your inner compass. Allow a memory to rise, a recurring dream, a song that haunts you, an image that appears unbidden. Ask it silently. Which way does this point? Do not demand an answer. Let your body respond, perhaps a warmth in the chest, a softening in the shoulders, a quickening in the pulse. This is your yes, the body's way of marking a path. Assign this sensation to a direction, perhaps east, the sunrise of beginnings, perhaps west, the descent of endings. Write it on a small card, a compass of your own making. On this card, inscribe one sentence that captures the rhythm of your season. I walk toward beginnings, or I descend for wisdom, or whatever arises. Carry it with you for 1 month. Each evening, read the sentence aloud and recall one choice you made that day that honored it. Let this ritual remind you that the compass is alive, and you are learning to follow its song. Seal the practice with a decree. May my needle be tender enough to follow. Speak it gently before each decision, as if whispering to the mountain of memory itself. The map folds quietly, the compass hums within your chest, and the traveler continues. The mountain waits, not as destination, but as reminder. And as you rise from this ritual, the path beneath your feet bends ever so slightly, aligning with the rhythm you have dared to hear. Chapter 4. The Ceremony of Unmaking. At the edge of a cliff, where the ocean gnaws endlessly at stone, the elders gather. They bring no tools for building, no banners for display. Instead, they bring ropes to untie, fabrics to unweave, knots to loosen. This is not a ceremony of creation, but of undoing. The air is charged yet quiet, as though the wind itself pauses to watch. Slowly, deliberately, the elders dismantle what once stood firm. Tapestries unravel, vessels are poured back into earth, altars are stripped of their adornments. Each act of unmaking carries dignity, for they know destruction is not the same as ruin. It is preparation. You watch, and a tremor stirs within you. Fear arises, for you know this ritual is yours as well. You fear that if you release too much, nothing will remain. You cling to roles, to identities, to relationships, to habits, as though they are lifelines. And yet each one, though familiar, has grown heavy, binding you to a shape that no longer fits. The terror of emptiness whispers, if I let go, will I disappear? If I unmake what defines me, will I dissolve into nothing? This is the threshold many avoid. Yet, in truth, unmaking is sacred. The psyche clings because it fears annihilation, but what it resists is not death. It is renewal. The 33rd degree knowledge teaches that initiation often arrives not as acquisition, but as release. To step into your own depth, you must consent to the undoing of what once gave you safety. For true initiation is not adding more light to the room. It is extinguishing the false flames, so the authentic fire may emerge. The teaching is clear. Unmaking is not collapse, but clearing. What has served its time must be honored, blessed, and set free. To cling to what is outdated is to preserve a shrine to stagnation, but to release it with reverence is to feed the soil of your future. This is why grief is holy. Grief is not the end of love, but the consecration of transition. When attended to, grief transforms into fertile ground. Those who resist grief remain bound to ghosts. Those who embrace it receive its alchemy. The revelation lies here. Loss, when embraced, becomes a vessel of power. You are not diminished by what you release. You are expanded by the space it leaves behind. Each unmade thread becomes material for weaving anew. Every identity laid down becomes a doorway for emergence. The ceremony of unmaking is not exile. It is chosen emptiness, the sacred pause before the new form rises. Now enter the ritual. Choose one small thing in your life that you are willing to unmake. It need not be vast. It may be a belief, a routine, an object, or a pattern. Name it aloud, acknowledging what it gave you. Write it on a strip of paper. Hold it in your hand and speak a eulogy of gratitude. 2 minutes of honoring its role, its protection, its gift. Let your voice dignify what you are about to release. Now return it to the elements. You may burn it in flame, bury it in soil, release it into water, or tear it into air. As you do, speak the phrase, I release you with gratitude. I unmake to be remade. Stand in receiving posture, feet grounded, Arms open wide, chest lifted. Breathe deeply for 30 seconds, allowing the emptiness to be felt, not feared. Into that space, whisper a new phrase, I make space. Carry this decree as you leave the ritual. Everything I unmake feeds a new temple. Repeat it when the ache of release lingers. Let it remind you that what you have released has not vanished, but has become nourishment for the structure yet unseen. The cliff is silent now. The elders vanished into wind. You stand alone, yet not alone, for the ceremony has entered you. The knots loosened in their hands loosen in yours. The tapestry that once bound you now falls, thread by thread, into the sea. And somewhere in the distance, a new pattern begins to weave itself in the invisible loom of your destiny. Chapter 5. The Library of Signs, 33rd Degree Threshold. There is a place hidden from ordinary sight, a library not built by hands but assembled by the currents of time. Its shelves are vast, and its corridors stretch into silence, yet it does not hold books in the way you expect. Instead, its volumes are the events of your life, arranged like illuminated manuscripts, the recurring numbers that followed you since childhood, the dream that returns each season, the phrase spoken by a stranger at the exact moment your heart was breaking. Each sign is a line in the margin of existence, and each margin waits for you to read. You walk through its aisles, and a librarian appears. Their hands are silvered with age, and their eyes reflect the constellation. They do not speak in sentences, but gesture toward letters that rearrange themselves in the air. Numbers become wings, symbols fold into faces, songs transcribe themselves across the air like ribbons of light. The librarian teaches you with a glance, these are not coincidences. They are invitations. They are not commands. They are not chains. They are living hieroglyphs asking you to translate. The pain that rises in this place is familiar. It is the ache of longing to be guided, of desperately seeking a sign that life itself has meaning, and the equal ache of doubting what you receive. How many times have you seen a pattern and feared you were imagining it? How many times have you mistrusted the whisper of synchronicity, terrified of being foolish, terrified of believing in meaning where there is none? You want to be guided, but you fear your own interpretation. And so you wander, torn between the hunger for direction and the dread of deception. The teaching of the library is this: signs are not oracles that hand you certainty. They are thresholds. They are pauses that invite you into participation. The 33rd degree knowledge is not about surrendering your will to a code written elsewhere. It is about learning the semiotics of the soul, the capacity to test a sign against your inner resonance, to discern whether it vibrates with truth or passes through like static. Signs are not answers. They are invitations to authorship. They ask you to step into the text of your life and add your line. The hidden revelation is that you already have a lexicon. Since childhood, you have been building it unconsciously. A bird that always appeared when you were safe, a song that carried your first taste of love, a number that circled your darkest nights and your brightest awakenings. These form a personal grammar, a secret language between you and the cosmos. To work with signs is not to invent new meaning, but to refine this grammar, to clear it of distortion, to trust it enough to act upon it. When you act with ritual intentionality, the library responds, rearranging its volumes in your favor. And so you are asked, will you become literate in the text of your own life? Will you accept the responsibility that guidance is not imposed but co-created? This is the threshold. To step across it is to walk with humility and curiosity, reading not with fear, but with reverence. To step across it is to bend reality with your attention until signs become not random flickers, but stars in a constellation pointing you home. Now enter the ritual. For 21 days, keep a small notebook, your library of signs. Each time a motif appears, whether a repeated number, a symbol, a phrase, record it. Write the date, the description, the single word of the felt sense it stirred within you, and one possible translation. Do not rush to certainty. Let the notebook breathe as an evolving lexicon. At the end of each week, sit with the list. Breathe deeply. Ask, which of these asks me to act? Allow one sign to step forward in resonance. Choose one simple action that aligns with it, a call to make, a journey to begin, a word to speak, a silence to keep. Enact it within 48 hours. This transforms the sign from curiosity into initiation. Each time you act, close the ritual by touching the notebook and whispering, "So be it." So it begins. Then record the outcome. Over time, you will notice the language of your library refining itself. The dialogue between you and the world grows clear, and reality bends in rhythm with the grammar of your soul. Carry with you a decree from the library. May I read the world as a friendly text. Repeat it before sleep. Let it weave itself into your dreams, and when you wake, notice how the day itself begins to shimmer like a page awaiting your attention. The aisles of the library stretch beyond sight. The silver-handed librarian waits with patience that feels eternal. And as you leave carrying your notebook, you realize the shelves do not vanish. They follow you. Each step into the world is an aisle. Each encounter is a page. Each sign is a margin note written by the hand of the cosmos, waiting for you to answer with your own. Chapter 6. The Garden of Forgotten Seeds. There exists a garden no one tends, hidden in the folds of memory. Its soil is rich but covered in dust, its pathways tangled with vines. You enter it as though by accident, yet some part of you knows you have been here before. At first glance it looks barren, but as your eyes adjust, you see small mounds of earth, places where something was once planted but never allowed to bloom. These are not weeds. They are forgotten seeds, the unlived potentials of your soul. You kneel and touch the soil, and it responds like a heartbeat. Each seed holds a story, the talent you dismissed as childish, the love you abandoned in fear, the dream you traded for approval, the voice you silenced because it shook too loudly. They lie in the ground, waiting not with resentment, but with patience, as though eternity itself had agreed to guard them until you returned. Yet their silence aches, for they are your unlived lives, and their roots tug at your present. The pain arises clearly here, the grief of realizing how many versions of yourself were never born. Perhaps you once felt you had wasted time, or that it was too late to return to what once burned brightly within you. Perhaps you mourned the years given to survival rather than creation, to pleasing rather than blooming. In this garden, that grief takes shape, not as punishment, but as witness. Every seed you forgot is still alive, still waiting. The teaching reveals itself in the soil. What is unlived is not lost. The psyche does not discard potential. It preserves it in symbolic form, burying it until the day you are strong enough to tend it. Forgotten seeds do not die. They grow roots in silence, drawing from unseen springs, preparing for the moment you remember them. To walk through this garden is to confront the truth. You cannot be whole while ignoring your unlived lives. Integration means not only embracing shadows, but recovering seeds. The hidden revelation is this: some seeds were never meant to bloom in their original form. They hold energy, not rigid destiny. A forgotten dream may not be reclaimed exactly as it was, but its essence can sprout in new soil. A lost love may not return as a person, but may return as a capacity to love differently. What matters is not restoring the past, but harvesting the energy locked within it. In this way, forgotten seeds become the compost of transformation, returning vitality to the present. Now, step into the ritual. Close your eyes and visualize the garden. Walk its paths until you find one seed that calls to you. Do not search. Let it rise. Kneel before it and name it in one phrase. You are the seed of. Perhaps it is art, voice, courage, tenderness. Speak it aloud, softly. Place your hands over your belly and breathe deeply 3 times as though sending warmth into the soil. Take a small piece of paper and write the seed's name upon it. Beneath, write one simple act you can perform this week to give it sunlight. Keep it small, a gesture, a word, a single act of remembrance. Fold the paper and place it somewhere sacred, beneath a candle, within a book, inside a drawer, where it will rest like soil. For the next 7 days, each time you pass it, whisper, "Bloom in me." Each repetition waters the seed, reminding your unconscious that forgotten does not mean abandoned. Watch how reality bends to bring you opportunities to act in harmony with this seed. Carry with you this decree: no seed of mine is wasted. All will bloom in their time. Repeat it whenever regret rises. Let it loosen the grip of time and restore your trust in the patience of the soul. The garden breathes with you. The dust begins to lift. One seed glimmers faintly, as though light had entered the soil, and as you walk away, you realize you have not left the garden at all. It walks with you, its seeds pressing upward from within, bending your days toward the bloom that waits. Chapter 7. The river that carried unspoken prayers. In a valley hidden by mist runs a river no map records. It flows without beginning and without end, carrying not only water, but whispers. If you lean close enough, you hear them, words never spoken aloud, tears never shed, desires buried in silence. The river is the keeper of unexpressed prayers. Every sigh you swallowed, every longing you hid for fear of rejection, every plea you buried in shame, all of them flow here, woven into its current. You walk along its bank, and the sound of rushing water fills you with both comfort and grief. You realize you have contributed to this river all your life. The nights you ached to be seen, but said nothing. The mornings you longed for freedom, but performed duty instead. The moments when you yearned to cry out, but chose silence. Each unspoken prayer became a drop, and the river swelled with your restraint. You wonder how much of your destiny lies here, waiting to be returned. This is the ache of silence, the wound of withheld expression. It is the loneliness of realizing your deepest needs were never voiced, as though life itself could not answer what it never heard. You fear that your silence has robbed you of possibility, that your prayers dissolved into nothingness. Yet the river says otherwise. It has held every word you could not say. It has not forgotten. The teaching emerges from the current. Silence does not erase desire. The psyche preserves it, flowing it into symbolic form until the day you are ready to listen. What you never voiced lives on, not as punishment, but as potential. And when you step to the river and acknowledge it, the current carries it back, bending reality in response. Unspoken prayers do not die. They wait, like seeds in water, until the moment you dare to breathe them into sound. The hidden revelation is this: sometimes the prayers you never spoke are more powerful than those you did, because they have gathered depth, carried by time, amplified by the river's patience. When finally voiced, they arrive not as fragile wishes, but as tidal forces, bending circumstance toward fulfillment. To meet the river is to reclaim the potency of your own silence. Now enter the ritual. Sit near flowing water if possible, a stream, a fountain, or even a bowl you fill, and let pour gently from one vessel to another. Close your eyes and imagine the hidden river. Place your hand on your throat. Breathe deeply, and on each exhale, feel the weight of words you once buried pressing softly against your lips. Let one unspoken prayer arise. Do not polish it. Let it be raw, unfinished. Whisper it aloud. Even if your voice trembles, even if no one hears but the river, let it flow. After speaking it, touch the water, real or imagined, and say, "Carry this for me." Return it in your time. Write the prayer in a single line and place it near water for 3 nights, a glass, a bowl, or even under the sound of rain. Each morning, read it aloud once more, not as pleading, but as recognition. I have spoken. On the 4th day, release the paper into flame, earth, or stream, trusting the current to bear it where it must go. Seal the practice with a decree. No prayer of mine is wasted. All flow to return. Repeat it each time silence tempts you into forgetting. The river continues, endless and alive. Its waters shimmer with whispers, and as you step away, you realize your voice has joined them. The ache of silence softens, for you know now that the river remembers, and somewhere downstream, your prayer is already bending reality to meet you. Chapter 8. the gate of silence that spoke back. There is a gate you cannot see with your eyes. It appears only when you surrender words, when your voice dissolves into stillness. It is made of no metal or stone, yet it stands firm. 2 pillars of shadow, an arch of air. When you approach it, there is no handle, no keyhole, no visible way to pass. You must wait, and in the waiting, the silence thickens. At first it feels unbearable. The mind protests, the body fidgets, your own heart seems too loud. Yet if you endure, something shifts. The silence begins to answer. You feel its presence not as sound, but as a subtle weight pressing inward. It is a silence that contains voices, a hush that trembles with meaning. You begin to sense that this gate was never locked. It simply waited for you to stop pushing. The moment you surrender, it opens without motion, revealing an interior vastness. The silence has spoken, not with words, but with recognition. The ache here is one you know well, the fear of silence. Perhaps you filled your days with noise, with tasks, with endless speech, because silence frightened you. It felt like emptiness, like rejection, like abandonment. You feared what you might hear if you stopped long enough to listen, yet this avoidance left you restless, for the soul does not thrive on constant sound. It needs the echo of stillness. Silence is not absence. It is presence too large for noise to contain. The teaching of the gate is profound. Silence is not nothingness. It is language before words. In silence, the unconscious reveals its images, the body reveals its truths, the divine reveals its subtle movements. To avoid silence is to avoid the deepest part of yourself. But to enter it is to discover that silence itself carries guidance. It does not shout. It does not flatter. It waits like an elder, speaking only when you are still enough to listen. The revelation hidden here is that silence is not empty, it is full. What you hear within it is not invented, but remembered. Beneath the surface chatter of thought lies a current of wisdom, archetypal, ancestral, eternal. Silence bends reality because it bends you back into alignment. Once you hear what silence whispers, you can no longer walk as before. The choices you make shift, the energy you carry changes, and the world around you adjusts to match. Now enter the ritual. Set aside a place where you will not be disturbed. Dim the lights. Sit with your spine straight and your hands open on your knees. Breathe slowly, not forcing, but allowing. Close your eyes. With each breath, imagine you are approaching a great gate. It is silent, immovable. Do not try to force it. Simply sit before it and listen. For 10 minutes, remain in this posture. Each time a thought arises, imagine placing it outside the gate, leaving it there like an offering. Return to listening. At some point you may feel a shift, a wordless knowing, an image, a subtle release. When it comes, place your hand on your heart and whisper, "I hear you." That is the gate answering. Afterward, write in a journal one sentence that captures what silence spoke. Do not elaborate. Keep it simple, raw, alive. Repeat this practice once a week for 1 month, creating a dialogue with silence until the gate opens more easily each time. Seal this chapter with a decree. In silence I am spoken to. Let it become your anchor when the noise of the world overwhelms you. The gate fades, but its presence lingers. You rise from stillness, carrying not absence, but fullness. And as you walk into your days, you realize the silence has left a residue, a quiet flame burning in your chest. The world feels different, though nothing outward has changed, because you have crossed the gate and silence has spoken back. Chapter 9, The Wounded King and the Hidden Queen. In the depths of a forgotten kingdom, there once lived a king who bore a wound that never closed. His crown was heavy, his throne cold, his words powerful yet hollow. Though he ruled with command, he was haunted by the ache in his side, a wound inherited, carried like a secret lineage of pain. No healer could mend it, no potion soothe it, for the wound was not of flesh, but of soul. Beyond the palace walls, in hidden chambers of the forest, dwelt a queen unseen. She was not crowned in gold but in silence, not seated on thrones but among roots and rivers. She carried wisdom not taught but remembered, not spoken but felt. Yet the world did not see her, for she had been veiled by neglect, denied her rightful place. She was not absent, she was hidden. The kingdom suffered because of this division. The king's wound spread through his people as unrest, while the queen's absence grew into famine of spirit. For without her balance, power hardened into control, and without his presence, wisdom dissolved into isolation. Both were incomplete, both fragmented, yet each carried what the other lacked. The king longed unconsciously for the queen, though he did not know her name. The queen waited with patience beyond time, knowing the wound itself would one day summon him to her. This is your story, too. Within you lives a wounded king, the striving, authoritative self that carries unhealed pain but presses forward anyway. Within you also lives a hidden queen, the intuitive, soulful self that has been veiled, dismissed, forgotten in favor of survival. The wound and the veil are archetypes. To live only as the king is to command without nourishment, to achieve without meaning. To live only as the queen is to withdraw into vision without voice. But when they meet, something sacred emerges, inner sovereignty. The teaching is this: wholeness requires the union of the opposites. Jung called it the conjunctio, the sacred marriage of fragmented archetypes. The psyche bends reality through polarity, and only when both poles are integrated does the inner kingdom flourish. Your pain is not merely a wound. It is the summons that calls the hidden part of you into presence. The wound and the hidden are not enemies. They are invitations to union. The revelation is that the wound itself is holy. Without it, the king would never have sought. Without the ache, the queen would never have been revealed. What you most resist in yourself, the brokenness, the absence, is the very doorway to your inner counterpart. To embrace both is to heal the fracture of the kingdom. Now, enter the ritual. Sit quietly and close your eyes. Imagine before you two figures. To your right, the wounded king, bearing your drive, your ambition, your discipline, and also your exhaustion, your ache, your scars. To your left, the hidden queen, carrying your intuition, your compassion, your mystery, and also your silence, your invisibility, your neglect. See them both clearly. Turn first to the king, place your hand on your heart, and whisper, "I see your wound. I honor your strength." Pause and breathe, letting recognition soften his crown. Turn then to the queen. Place your hand on your belly and whisper, "I see your silence. I welcome your wisdom." Breathe again, letting her veil fall slightly away. Now envision them moving toward one another, the king bowing in humility, the queen lifting her gaze. Let them meet at the center of your chest. Imagine their hands clasping, wound and wisdom touching, authority and intuition merging. Sit in this image for several breaths until you feel warmth spreading through your body, a fullness that carries both strength and softness. Write afterward in a journal one sentence beginning with, "When my king and queen unite, I." Let it flow, even if it surprises you. Place this sentence somewhere visible. Each day, repeat it once aloud, sealing the union as a living reality. Carry with you this decree: "My wound reveals my hidden crown." Speak it whenever you feel torn between striving and silence. Let it remind you that both sides belong, and both sides must walk together. The kingdom waits no longer. The king's wound breathes, the queen's veil thins, and as they walk side by side, the land begins to green once more. And as their union awakens within you, reality itself bends to reflect a sovereignty born not of halves, but of wholeness. Chapter 10. The Broken Clock That Measured Eternity. In an abandoned tower, you find a clock whose hands no longer move. Dust coats its gears, cobwebs lace its frame, and yet, when you approach, you feel time itself falter. The air thickens. The seconds you thought you knew dissolve into stillness. Though the clock is broken, it measures something greater than hours. It measures eternity. Its silence reminds you that time is not what you were taught. You stare at the frozen hands, and memories rise of how you have lived in obedience to the ticking of ordinary clocks. You hurried, you waited, you feared being late, you mourned being too old, you chased the promise of tomorrow while fleeing the weight of yesterday. Each tick became a ruler across your soul, dividing what you could have been from what you believed you had missed. And now, standing before the broken clock, you feel the ache of that slavery, the pain of being measured by time instead of by essence. The teaching is unveiled here. Linear time is an illusion, a construct the psyche accepts so the world may function. But beneath it flows another rhythm, a deeper order, kairos, the time of the soul. While the outer clock counts hours, the inner clock measures ripeness. It does not ask how many years you have lived, but whether a seed is ready to sprout, whether a season has completed, whether a vow has matured. To live by chronos alone is to be enslaved. To listen to kairos is to enter eternity while still breathing. The hidden revelation is that eternity does not wait after death. It is here, pressing through each moment that breaks free from sequence. A glance that lingers longer than it should. A silence that expands until it fills a room. A moment of awe when the sky burns at dawn and you feel suspended outside the calendar. These are cracks in the illusion, reminders that eternity is woven into the very fabric of now. The broken clock does not fail, it reveals. You realize, standing there, that many of your regrets were illusions too. You told yourself you were too late, too old, too delayed. Yet the broken clock whispers otherwise. Nothing is late in eternity. What matters is ripeness. A dream deferred may bloom more fully because it waited. A love delayed may arrive with greater depth because the soil of your soul has matured. The kingdom of becoming obeys kairos, not chronos. Now enter the ritual. Sit quietly with a clock nearby, one you can hear ticking. Close your eyes and listen. With each tick, whisper silently, chronos. Feel the pressure of measurement, the demand of sequence. Do this for 1 minute. Then, take the clock and set it aside. Close your eyes again and breathe slowly, deeply, until you feel the ticking fade. Whisper, kairos. Repeat it with each breath for 2 minutes. Notice how time dissolves into spaciousness, how your body relaxes into eternity. Afterward, write in a journal one area of your life where you feel too late. Write the phrase, "In kairos, I am on time." Place it where you can see it daily. Each time you feel rushed or regretful, repeat the decree aloud, "I am on time in eternity." Seal this chapter with a sacred phrase, "The clock is broken, but I am whole." Carry it with you, not as rebellion against ordinary time, but as remembrance that your soul is never late, never early, but always exactly where it must be. The tower stands silent, the clock unmoving. Yet as you leave, the world outside feels slower, softer, as though eternity itself had bent the hours. You walk not in haste, but in presence, no longer measured by seconds, but embraced by timelessness. Chapter 11. The Invisible Contract of the Soul. From the moment you were born, unseen agreements surrounded you. Some were whispered by ancestors long before your arrival, others woven by culture, family, or circumstance. These contracts were not written on paper, yet they bound you as surely as law. You learned to obey them without question, to carry burdens not your own, to silence truths too sharp for comfort, to repeat patterns that did not begin with you. And yet, one night, in the quiet of your inner chamber, you sense it. A contract written in invisible ink. Its clauses are ancient, older than your lineage, signed not by pen but by soul. It binds you to lessons, to encounters, to journeys of pain and revelation. It is not punishment but curriculum, a script that bends reality toward your awakening. The ache you carry, the repetitions that bewilder you, they are clauses in this hidden covenant. The pain arises here, the exhaustion of living under promises you do not remember making. Perhaps you have wondered why certain struggles return again and again, why relationships echo the same themes, why your path seems marked by trials you never chose. It feels unjust, as though fate conspires against you. Yet beneath the frustration lies a deeper truth. You are not powerless. You are not cursed. You are under contract, and contracts can be read, understood, and when their lesson is fulfilled, rewritten. The teaching is this: the soul signs agreements before entering this life. Not contracts of punishment, but of possibility. You agreed to encounter the very patterns that would awaken your deepest strength, to walk through the shadows that would reveal your hidden light. These agreements shape the bending of reality around you. They bring you to teachers disguised as adversaries, to challenges that strip you of falsehood, to silences that summon your voice. To resist them is to remain bound unconsciously. To read them consciously is to reclaim your authorship. The revelation hidden here is liberating. Contracts evolve. They are not eternal prisons. When their wisdom is integrated, they dissolve. A vow of silence becomes a vow of truth. A contract of suffering transforms into a covenant of compassion. You are not doomed to repeat endlessly. You are invited to complete. The bending of reality shifts once you declare the contract fulfilled and sign a new one with your awakened hand. Now enter the ritual. Sit with pen and paper before you. Breathe deeply, centering yourself. Write this heading: the invisible contract I now acknowledge. Allow one pattern from your life to rise: a recurring pain, a repeated struggle. Write it as though it were a clause. I agreed to carry the weight of, or I agreed to learn through. Be honest. One sentence is enough. Next, place your hand over the words and whisper, I see you. I honor the lesson. I release the form. Then draw a line beneath it and write, the new covenant I choose. Write a simple sentence of transformation, such as, I choose to learn through love, not fear. Or, I choose to carry only what is mine. Sign it with your name as though sealing a sacred contract. Place the paper on an altar beneath a candle or stone for 3 nights. Each night, touch it and say aloud, so it is rewritten. On the 4th day, burn or bury the paper, releasing it to the elements as a completed covenant. Seal this chapter with a decree. I am bound only to what awakens me. Let it remind you that no invisible contract holds power once you choose to rewrite it. As you rise, the unseen agreements shift. The chains grow lighter, the clauses dissolve, and a new document begins to unfurl within you, a covenant written not by fear, but by freedom. And with every step forward, reality bends to the contract of your awakened soul. Chapter 12. The Night of the 33 Lanterns. There is a mountain where, once in a lifetime, 33 lanterns are lit against the darkness. No one knows who lights them, only that they appear on nights when the veil thins and the air vibrates with mystery. Their flames are not ordinary. Each lantern burns with a hue unlike the others: gold, silver, crimson, sapphire, emerald, violet, and shades the human tongue cannot name. Together they form a constellation on earth, mirroring the stars above, a secret alignment that whispers to those who dare to walk among them. You arrive in the valley below, weary from the weight of your contracts and the ache of your hidden seeds. Something in you knows this is not accident, but appointment. You climb slowly, each step lit by one more lantern, until the night around you glows with 33 flames. Their light does not blind. It penetrates. It does not warm only the skin. It enters the marrow. Standing within them, you feel seen in ways you never imagined. Each lantern reveals a facet of your soul, a layer of your myth, a truth you once hid. The pain emerges here, the fear of illumination. For so long you have lived half-lit, showing fragments of yourself while concealing the rest. You feared being too much or not enough. You feared what others would see if your shadows were exposed. But the lanterns care nothing for your fear. They reveal, and in the revelation you tremble, because you realize you are not small. You are vast, layered, radiant, and to see yourself fully is as terrifying as it is liberating. The teaching of the lanterns is this: Initiation always comes with light that strips away illusion. These 33 flames symbolize the thresholds of the soul, each one a degree of perception, each one bending reality in its own frequency. To walk among them is to consent to be revealed, to let the light show you not only your wounds but your power. For light does not discriminate, it illuminates all. The 33rd degree is not a secret held by a select few. It is the full radiance of a soul willing to see itself without distortion. The hidden revelation is that the lanterns are not outside you. They burn within, each one a hidden faculty of perception, an inner flame waiting to be recognized. The night of the 33 lanterns is not a historical event. It is a moment in consciousness when all of your fragments align, when the attic, the mirror, the compass, the river, the gate, all become flames in the greater constellation of your being. To stand among them is to remember you are already whole. Now enter the ritual. Find a quiet place and light one single candle before you. Sit in silence, breathing slowly until you feel its flame steady. With each inhale, imagine drawing light from the candle into your body. With each exhale, imagine another lantern appearing within you, beginning at your heart. Whisper softly, "Lantern 1, I see you." Breathe again, and on the next exhale, whisper, "Lantern 2, I see you." Continue until you have counted to 33, visualizing each lantern igniting within your chest, your mind, your belly, your hands, your feet, your breath. When you finish, sit surrounded by the glow of 33 inner flames. Whisper, "I am lit from within." Let the warmth spread through you. Remain for a few minutes in the silence of illumination. Afterward, write one sentence that captures how you felt during the ritual. Begin with, "When I am fully lit, I..." Keep this sentence close, as a reminder that the lanterns are never gone. They wait within you, ready to ignite whenever you turn inward. Seal the practice with a decree, "All 33 flames burn in me." Repeat it before sleep for 3 nights, letting the words rearrange the grammar of your dreams. The mountain quiets. The lanterns flicker, yet their light does not vanish. It disperses into your being. You walk back down the path, no longer guided by borrowed torches, but by the constellation burning in your chest. Reality bends to greet your glow, for nothing outside can extinguish a fire lit by eternity itself. Chapter 13, The Temple That Recognized Your Name. You arrive at a clearing where stone columns rise like trees, ancient yet unbroken, their surfaces carved with symbols you cannot read. The air hums with presence, as though the walls themselves are listening. At the center stands an open temple, roofless, filled not with statues, but with silence alive as breath. You step across its threshold, and the moment you enter, something extraordinary happens. The temple speaks your name. It is not spoken aloud in sound, but it resounds within you, reverberating through bone and blood. It is not the name you use in daily life, not the syllables given at birth, but a deeper name, the one your soul carried before the world dressed you in labels. To hear it is to remember. You tremble, for the sound is both strange and familiar, foreign yet intimate, as though every echo in your life has been trying to remind you of it. The ache rises with sharp clarity. For so long you have lived under names that were not yours, names of expectation, names of duty, names imposed by others, names shaped by pain. You carried identities that never quite fit, masks that became heavy, roles that silenced your essence. You feared that without them you would be nothing. Yet standing here, the temple reveals that beneath every borrowed name, there is one name that has always been yours. The grief is not in forgetting it, but in realizing how long you lived without its resonance. The teaching unfolds within the echo. True identity is not constructed, it is remembered. Your soul carries a signature, unique and eternal, a vibration that no other being possesses. When you live far from it, reality bends into confusion and fragmentation. When you align with it, reality bends toward coherence, magnetized by the authenticity of your being. Jung called it individuation, the uncovering of the self beyond persona. Mystics called it the divine name, the sound woven into creation itself. Whatever its title, it is the axis around which your destiny turns. The hidden revelation is that life itself recognizes you when you recognize your name. The temple speaks not because it holds authority, but because it mirrors what you have always carried. Your destiny has been waiting for this recognition. The people who truly belong to you will know you by this vibration, not by outer masks. Opportunities aligned with your soul will bend toward this frequency. The temple does not give you your name. It awakens your courage to claim it. Now enter the ritual. Sit quietly in a sacred space. Place both hands over your heart. Breathe slowly, allowing your chest to soften beneath your palms. Whisper 3 times, "I am ready to remember my true name." Close your eyes and allow an image, a word, or a sound to rise within. Do not judge it. It may not resemble a name in ordinary language. It may be a syllable, a phrase, a tone, or even a silence. Whatever comes, receive it as a gift. Whisper it softly, letting your body feel its resonance. Speak it until it settles into your breath. Next, write it down in a journal or on a small card. Beneath it, write, "This is my essence. I walk in its vibration." Place the card somewhere you will see it daily. Each morning, whisper the name once before stepping into the world. Notice how reality bends to it, how encounters shift, how your choices feel different when anchored in essence. Seal this chapter with a decree. I am known by the name of my soul. Repeat it whenever doubt clouds you. Let it remind you that no outer label, no borrowed identity, can eclipse the truth of who you are. The temple grows brighter as you leave, though no sun has risen. Its columns hum, its silence vibrates, and the echo of your name continues to resound inside you. You step back into the world not as a mask, but as a presence, recognized not only by the temple, but by existence itself. Chapter 14. The Dawn That Bent Reality. The night has stretched long, and you have walked through attics, mirrors, maps, rivers, and gates. You have stood before lanterns and temples, and each step has carried you closer to this threshold. Now the horizon trembles with a light, not of ordinary sunrise, but of revelation. This is the dawn where reality bends completely, where all the fragments you gathered ignite into a single fire. You stand on a high ridge as the sky begins to stir. At first, the light seems ordinary, a slow bleeding of darkness into pale color. But then something shifts. The sun rises not from one point, but from every direction, spilling gold across the entire sky. Shadows dissolve instantly. Boundaries blur. The air thickens with presence until you feel as though you're standing inside the heart of creation itself. In this dawn, time bows, the world bends, and you too bend into recognition. The ache you feel is almost unbearable, the weight of all the years you doubted, the heaviness of every moment you thought you were alone, the grief of every exile you endured. It rushes up at once, pressing tears into your eyes. You realize how often you believed yourself broken, forgotten, powerless. You see the countless times you asked for signs and did not trust them, the prayers you whispered and abandoned, the identity you feared to claim. All of it surges within you, demanding release. And here comes the teaching of the dawn. Faith is not belief in the unseen. It is recognition of what has always been present. Reality has always bent for you. The attic opened because you touched it. The mirror revealed because you dared to look. The compass hummed because you listened. The lanterns lit because you walked. The temple spoke because you entered. The universe did not withhold, it waited. The power was never distant, it was always within your own being. The hidden revelation now blazes clear. The I you whisper is the axis of creation. When you speak, reality adjusts. When you imagine, the loom of the psyche begins to weave. When you declare, worlds tremble into shape. This is not arrogance, it is alignment with the truth. The divine lives not as a distant ruler, but as the current flowing through your voice, your breath, your imagination. To claim I am is not to inflate yourself, but to recognize the eternal flame that has burned since before your birth. The dawn bends reality because you bend with it. No longer fractured, no longer hiding, you carry the wholeness of your king and queen, the patience of your seeds, the wisdom of your silence, the rhythm of your compass, the lexicon of your signs. All converge here. You are not a seeker anymore. You are an author. And the book you carry is not found in attics or libraries. It is your breath, your step, your choice. Now enter the ritual. Rise before dawn. Sit where you can see the first light. Close your eyes as the darkness lingers and breathe deeply. On each inhale, whisper silently, I am. On each exhale, allow the words to complete themselves. Let the phrase rise unbidden. I am light. I am flame. I am whole. I am becoming. Do not control it. Let the dawn speak through you. When the first light appears, open your eyes, stand and raise your arms slightly, palms open, speak aloud one declaration of identity, I am, and let the truth flow. It may be simple. It may surprise you. Trust it. This is your voice bending reality into new form. Write the declaration on paper and keep it where you will see it daily. Each morning repeat it once as the light touches your face. This is the anchor of your dawn. This is the axis of your authorship. Seal this chapter with a decree. I am the dawn that bends reality. Speak it when doubt arises, and let it dissolve the shadows. The horizon glows fully now, and the world before you shimmers as though remade. The dawn has revealed not only light, but the truth of your being. You walk forward, not as one who waits, but as one who creates. And as you take the first step into the new day, reality bends to your voice, carrying your name across the sky. Chapter 15. The Circle of Return. The journey has carried you through thresholds, each chapter a portal, each ritual a seed. You have descended into attics of memory, faced mirrors of shadow, followed the compass of the soul, walked rivers of prayer, passed gates of silence, and stood before lanterns, temples, and dawn itself. Now you arrive at the circle, a place where beginnings and endings meet, where the straight line of story curves back into eternity. The circle is simple, a ring of stones laid upon the earth, weathered by centuries of wind and rain. You step inside, and immediately you sense its truth. The circle is not a prison. It is not a trap. It is the reminder that all paths return to their source. Every exile bends homeward. Every fragment circles back to wholeness. Every forgotten part finds its way again to the fire. The circle teaches that nothing is wasted. Not a word, not a wound, not a silence. All return. The ache here is tender, the longing for closure, the hunger for home. Perhaps you feared your life would scatter endlessly, your choices spiraling into chaos without cohesion. Perhaps you feared that what you lost could never be recovered, that what was broken could never be mended. Standing in the circle, you realize this fear was never the final truth. What bends must return. What wanders must rejoin. The circle holds you, and in its embrace you feel the first taste of rest. The teaching arises like breath. The circle is the archetype of completion. In psychology, it is the mandala, symbol of the self. In spirituality, it is the eternal cycle, death feeding birth, shadow feeding light, silence feeding voice. To walk the circle is to see your life not as a line of regret, but as a spiral of transformation. Each repetition was not failure, but deepening. Each return was not regression, but layering. Reality bends not into straight paths, but into circles that spiral upward. The hidden revelation is this: the circle does not erase the journey. It dignifies it. Every step mattered. Every detour carried teaching. Every wound became a doorway. You did not waste time. You ripened. The circle shows you that the soul never abandons itself. It bends, it fractures, it delays, but it always returns. Now enter the ritual. Stand in a space where you can move freely. Imagine a circle drawn around you, luminous and alive. Step slowly along its edge, walking clockwise with measured breath. As you walk, whisper, I return. With each step, feel a fragment of yourself rejoining you, a shadow you exiled, a dream you abandoned, a prayer you forgot. Complete one full circle, and when you arrive at the place you began, pause, place your hand over your heart, and whisper, I am whole. Next, sit within the circle, real or imagined. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Imagine all the chapters you have walked through gathering around you like companions, the attic, the mirror, the compass, the lanterns, the temple, the dawn. See them forming a circle of guardians, each one a witness to your journey. Whisper aloud, thank you, you are part of me. Remain in silence for several breaths, letting the circle close gently around your being. Seal this chapter with a decree. All that I am returns to me. Let it remind you daily that no part of your story is lost, no part of your soul forgotten. The circle glows softly, then fades, yet its presence remains within you. You step out of it, not as one who leaves, but as one who carries it forward. For now, you know the truth. Every step is return, every breath is renewal, every ending is a beginning folded back into the eternal curve. And as you walk onward, the circle of your soul bends reality itself into wholeness, again and again, forever. Closing portals. Final decree for the chapter series. The path has been walked, the pages turned, the thresholds crossed. You have entered attics of memory and mirrors of shadow, followed maps that shifted, surrendered in ceremonies of unmaking, and learned the language of signs. You have watered forgotten seeds, released unspoken prayers into rivers, listened to gates of silence, and allowed king and queen to unite within you. You have stood in timelessness, rewritten contracts of the soul, walked beneath 33 lanterns, remembered the name whispered in the temple, and witnessed the dawn that bends reality itself. Finally, you stood in the circle of return, and there you discovered what had always been true. Nothing was ever lost. All bends back into wholeness. You are not pursued by fate. You are not trapped by wounds. You are being invited into authorship. Reality bends not as chaos, but as collaboration. Every event, every ache, every silence was a margin note written by the cosmos, asking you to answer with your own line. You have answered, and the script of your destiny waits for your hand each morning you rise. Carry with you the constellation of your journey, the attic that taught you to read your own story, the mirror that showed your shadow as ally, the compass that revealed the rhythm of seasons, the ceremony that dignified release, the library that whispered the grammar of signs. Remember the garden of seeds waiting to bloom, the river that held your prayers, the gate of silence that spoke, the king and queen whose union restored sovereignty. Remember the broken clock that freed you from haste, the contracts rewritten in your name, the lanterns that lit your inner fire, the temple that recognized your essence, the dawn that bent reality to your voice, and the circle that returned all things to you. Together, these are not fragments, they are one initiation. Now seal this journey with a final ritual. Sit quietly, place your hands upon your heart, and breathe 4 times. With each inhale, whisper silently, I remember. With each exhale, whisper, I will answer. Let the rhythm carry you into silence. When you are ready, take a pen and write one sentence beginning with, From now on, I will. Place this sentence where you can see it often. Let it anchor you. Let it remind you. Let it bend reality around the truth you have chosen. This is the closing of the portals, but not the closing of the path. The path continues within you, each day a new chapter, each choice a new decree. You are not merely a character within a script. You are the author, the witness, the flame. If these words touched you, keep them alive. Whisper aloud as a seal, I am finding myself again. Let the phrase be both ending and beginning, both remembrance and promise.